Yes, indeed. Let's do it. How are you? We got some Thursday night football. What a big game. Wow. The Niners and the Seahawks in Seattle. I don't know if we'd be able to duplicate what we had last Thursday night, which I thought was maybe the best Thursday night game that we've had in some time. But we are getting ready for the 49ers and the Seahawks. We'll talk about last night's Kings preseason game. If you have any thoughts on that, I don't put too much stock into preseason, but it is nice to see the Kings play with a new star on their team in DeMar DeRozan. So if you have any thoughts on that, we would be more than happy to take your chat messages. We've got baseball going on, and I need a rant idea. All right. So if you have a rant idea for me, I would love to know exactly what it is that you would like me to rant on. It's a rant with Grant, and I'm happy to oblige. All right. So we got all of that and more coming up today. If you want to get in on the program, here is the link to call the show. Very easy to do. You see at the bottom of the screen, you also have the QR code. So give me a shout. Again, you've got the link right there. So happy to have you aboard here on this Thursday. And we've got a lot going on. All right. What are my thoughts on DeMar playing with Fox and Sabonis last night? You know, I thought that the first unit looked good. The offense looked a little bit different. I don't put too much into what I see on preseason basketball. That's been my experience. I mean, I already know that DeMar DeRozan's a good player. I know that Fox and Sabonis are all-stars or all-star caliber players. So, like, I'm not shocked if they play well together. They should play well together. They're all very good basketball players. I don't think the key is those three anyway this year. I think the key to the Kings' success this year is Keegan Murray, to be honest with you, because I already know what I'm going to get in DeRozan. I already know what I'm going to get in Fox and Sabonis. I need a more consistent Keegan Murray offensively. So I think that's a real key. Listen, the Kings are going to outscore teams this year. That's how they're going to win. They're not going to win by stopping teams. You saw that last night. And again, it's preseason, so I don't want to get carried away. But the Kings are going to win with their offensive firepower. That's the identity. The identity of the Kings is offense. It's not anything else. Okay? And now with DeMar DeRozan, when the team does kind of boggle down, when they kind of get stagnant offensively, you've now got another incredible option that can flat out score and do a lot of things on the basketball floor. So that's going to be how they do it. That's going to be their identity. All right. Somebody says rant on reacting to the first preseason game. I get the excitement. I really do. But I think people do need to upset. Rant on LeBron, his ex-post about traveling to Minnesota for one preseason game. Yeah, I'll talk about that. Good to hear from Jay. I thought the first half was mostly positive. Glad to see the offense clicking. But our top eight still gave up too many points in the first half. The second half was just a scrimmage. Yeah, defensively is going to be an issue for this team. But you don't – listen, teams are going to shoot the way the Warriors did. SoCal Lifestyle, do you think Keegan needs to speak up more or be himself? Jerry said he doesn't need to be a rah-rah guy since we have other guys on a team who do that. I'll answer it this way. You are who you are. All right? You can't take a guy that is reserved and has a quiet demeanor and make him into a rah-rah guy. It just doesn't work like that. I've always said be yourself. Whether you're a coach, whether you're a broadcaster, whatever. Need to be yourself. Don't be somebody else. Okay? Don't be somebody else. Grant, is it time for me to bench Debo in fantasy? He's been a non-factor thus far with Purdy targeting Kittle, Jennings, Mason. First of all, I don't play fantasy football. I don't know anything about fantasy football. I don't even know how it works in terms of like who you should start, who you should bench. So you're asking the wrong guy. I don't play fantasy sports. I don't have any interest in it. So you're asking me the wrong guy. Bench whoever the hell you want. Do I think the Warriors should explore a trade with Curry and rebuild again? Absolutely not. Steph Curry is the Golden State Warriors. There are certain players that need to finish a career with the team they began with, and that player is Steph Curry. Curry is the Golden State Warriors, has been the Golden State Warriors, and maybe has been the face of the franchise more than anyone since Rick Barry. That's how I look at it. So, no, I don't think they should explore a trade. I mean, it's a good question, but no. No, I don't think so. What do you think of the game tonight? Who do you think wins Niners and Seahawks? I did a rant on this today. I think this could be a season-defining game for San Francisco. They're 2-3. 2 of their losses were bad, right? The loss against the Rams was bad, and the loss last against Arizona was bad. There's no way they should have lost that game to the Cardinals. And so now you have a game in the division with a team that's a game ahead of you at 3-2, a team that got beat by the Giants 29-20. And you also have to remember that, one of the Seahawk touchdowns was 100 yards going the other way. So the Giants dominated the game, and they ran the heck out of the ball against Seattle. Keep that in mind. Replying to Kyle, 49ers have too many weapons with health. Who else do you have, or is it available? Yeah, if you all want to talk fantasy football, I have no problem with that on the chat line. You want to give each other ideas, go ahead. I don't get involved in it. I understand why people do it. A lot of my friends do it. I have no interest in it. I just don't, Is Magic still the best point guard ever, or is it Curry? It's Magic. Magic would have been an all-star at all 5 positions. I mean, it's Magic Johnson, in my opinion. When you can be an all-star at all 5 positions, that's tough to beat. So you got to look at it that way. But again, if you all want to go back and forth and give each other, fantasy tips, go ahead. I have no problem with that. I don't have a problem with people that play fantasy football. I just don't get into it. I have no interest in it. I'm a New York Giants fan, and I'm not rooting for anybody that plays on any other team, period. And it doesn't make me want to watch the games more because I watch all the games anyway. So, for me, keeping me interested in the NFL, I don't need to play fantasy football to keep me interested in the NFL because I watch all the games anyway. Have I interviewed Magic before? I never have. No. Never did. Never interviewed Magic. All right, we got links to call the show and everything else. And I am happy to do that right now. And we say hello to Michael. Hello, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing great. Most important, how are you doing though? I know you've been affected by the Hurricane Milton. Are
Everything's
you
fine.
okay?
Yes, thank you very much for asking.
Nothing destructive. Anything happen? Oh,
No.
good. Thank
you.
God, really, because it's been such a devastating storm. I just hate to, life is more important.
You're darn right, buddy. Thank you for your
Yeah.
thoughts.
I feel so sad for the Oakland Athletics, though. I know it's been a week ago, but you just think about the fans. I mean, I feel so sad for the fans. Nobody
I feel sad
deserves
for the fans too, but they should have come out and supported the team over all the decades, and they didn't do that. I'm sorry.
I mean, John Fisher is one of
they
the
didn't
worst.
support the team. They didn't support the team before John Fisher owned the team. What about the years that John Fisher didn't own the team?
Yeah.
And so I feel sorry for the diehard Oakland A's fans because there are many of them, and I really do feel bad for them because they're loyal fans, and there are many of them. But I'm sorry.
I'm a Yankees fan anyway, but I'm so thankful that I'm a Yankees fan.
I'm a Yankees fan too, but I really do care about the A's fans that have had their hearts ripped out.
Yeah.
I feel awful for them. But they didn't support the team before John Fisher. I don't know why people don't bring that up.
Wow. It was a great win, though, for the Yankees yesterday. I think 3-2.
It takes 3 wins to advance to the next round. So we'll see. They play in just a little bit. And,
I think tomorrow they played, or is that, I think?
They play they play coming up here in a little bit. So right now the Indians are playing the Guardians. Let me give you an update on that score with the Indians and the Guardians. I mean, with the Indians, with the Guardians and the Tigers. I'm sorry, got my mind
Guardians and
going in
Tigers.
different directions here because that is a very interesting series going on. It is now 1-1 with the Guardians and the
1-1.
Tigers in the bottom of the third. So that is
Who you
1-1,
got for that one?
1-1 in the bottom of the third, and then coming up in a little bit, and the Royals with the Yankees with a chance to advance.
Hopefully we can do it tonight. Don't have to go to New York and try to clinch it.
Game starts in an hour.
Yeah, no Astros. I think this is the year the Yankees should do it this year for the title.
Thank you very much for the call.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Thank you for your thoughts. I appreciate it very much. Let's move on. Al. Hello, Al. How are you?
Hey, Nate, I'm good, man. How you doing, my friend?
I'm very well, thank you.
I'm glad to hear you're safe down there. Man, I tell you, the hurricanes this year in the southern part of the states, I'm glad you're safe from that. Man, it's just been bad. I mean,
definitely changing, no doubt about it.
North Carolina, I think, was mostly, and some of Georgia, I think, on the first one, Helene, and now one after another for some of those areas. Just terrible.
Awful. The the water temperatures are creating all of this. So the temperature of the water, and particularly the Caribbean and the Gulf, it's creating these devastating storms. It's awful.
Yeah, I love your take on Steph Curry staying with the Warriors. How many athletes can you name? I'm a Rams fan, and Jackie Slater, his 20 years, all with the Rams, and Merlin Olsen, Jack Youngblood.
Yeah.
But then again, you had other guys like Deacon Jones, Gabriel. You've seen great Yankees players and Giants players that go to other teams.
Yep.
I think it's just really special for a player, career-wise, maybe I'm being old school, to just start and finish with the same team.
I agree with you. It doesn't happen as much as it did in our generation when you and I were growing up and following our favorite teams. That used to be the norm. You would start and finish with the same team. Now it's really not the norm. It's anything but the norm.
And you know what, the A's, I listened to this show yesterday. I didn't get a chance to follow along or call. It seems like a lot of these ridiculous prices is the secondary market is snapping up all the tickets, and maybe I'm wrong, but then reselling like StubHub, that secondary market's snapping up the tickets and putting out these ridiculous prices.
Well,
am I off base on that?
It's the owners of the tickets set the prices, not StubHub. Like, for instance, if I have tickets and I want to sell them, I set the price. So a lot of people that bought the tickets for the A's in Sacramento are selling them on the secondary market for a ridiculous price. Now, there are others that have, gobbled up those tickets. I don't know who in their right mind. Brody Brazil has a phenomenal thing on the StubHub going over ticket prices and opening day prices for the Cubs. And the prices are absurd. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, I can't see anyone spending $1,000 to go watch the Cubs play in Oakland. In Sacramento. I just can't.
Nate, but there's 162 games. I mean, maybe for football because it's 17 games. You know what I mean? But you're talking about 162 or 81 games for the home team in a season. That's we're talking about 80, not 8 games or 9 home games, but like 81. That to me really makes it ridiculous. Having that number of games and then putting that price out there, and then I saw some of his information. I heard you speak of his real good breakdown yesterday. You seem to be kind of a fan of his. You seem to like his reporting style.
I watched the video that he did on YouTube, and it was extremely informative with actual prices that he was taking right off StubHub and putting them up on a screen. And it was absurd. It was ridiculous. I mean, it's absolutely absurd. I don't know who in their right mind would pay that kind of money to, again, the point was you could go to watch, if you're a fan of the A's or you're a fan of, let's say, the Yankees. Yeah. And if you live in Sacramento, you could go buy airplane tickets and go fly to another city, pay for a hotel, tickets, and everything else, and still save less money.
It's ridiculous.
Save
You know,
money.
I am excited to see some Major League Baseball in the Rivercats Intimate Stadium. That's going to be fun for me. I mean, it's almost going to be like for me spring training. You know, I can get really down close to the players. You know,
How are you going to get tickets? You're going to pay that kind of money?
no, I can't afford that kind of money.
Well, then how are you going to go watch the intimate setting if you don't have a ticket and you got to pay hundreds of dollars to go to a game? How's that going to work?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, intimate setting with an unintimate price. Whew. How do you size up the game tonight? Who do you like?
I think San Francisco wins. They should win. They're a better team.
Yeah.
They cannot afford another divisional loss. They're already down to the Rams and the Cardinals, and they're 2-3. And a loss here, I think, would send this team spiraling. This is a huge game tonight for San Francisco. I'm not saying it's not a big game for Seattle, but even if Seattle loses, they're still at the top of the division with San Francisco and at 3-3. I mean, they're still going to be okay. What I mean, okay, they're still breathing. If the Niners lose, they're 2 games back. They have 3 losses in the division already. This is a huge game for 49ers.
Yeah, particularly with tiebreakers as the year moves on, coming down the stretch, you got to have those tiebreakers. So you're right about the division. Division games are the most important. Now, you've always alluded to this, and I agree with you on the division games being so important that it should not be on a Thursday night because of the significance of the game. And if you're going to lose a game, your first loss wants to be out of conference. That really has no relevance. Then your next would be your own conference. And then the last one you don't want to lose at all is your division game.
Yeah.
You know, that's and so, yeah, I totally agree with you.
The only day that I think it's okay to do that is on Thanksgiving because of the way the schedule rotates. And the reason is because, you always have the same teams playing on Thanksgiving in Detroit and Dallas.
Right.
I understand the inevitability of having a divisional game on Thanksgiving once in a while. But other than that, I don't like divisional games on Thursdays. I just don't.
I don't like the every Thursday thing myself. The league, I've said this before, the league preaches player safety. The players will tell you their bodies just can't recover, in 3 days to play a game on Thursday. And that's why we have crappy games with the exception of last week's game, which was a fun game to watch. But for the most part, we get crappy football because these guys just aren't, you just can't bounce back, like you can. But anyway, thanks for taking my call and go Seahawks. I hate the Niners. My rants are horrible, but anyway, I'll talk to you later, man.
All right, take care. Appreciate that. Good stuff from Al. If you want to get in on the program, very easy to do. You've got the QR code there. You've got the link that I'm putting up on the screen, and I would love to be able to talk with you. Again, I know that a lot of A's fans don't like it when I say this, okay? But John Fisher, I understand, is basically a 4-letter word. I get that, okay? John Fisher is a bad owner. We get that. All right. I'm not defending John Fisher as an owner of the Oakland A's. What I am saying is you didn't support the team before John Fisher when you were really good. All right. I've already done this. I've already read the statistics and the attendance figures year after year after year since the A's moved to Oakland. So stop with the nonsense. All right. And there are some very loyal Oakland A's fans, very loyal. I know some of them. Right? Some of them are my friends. I feel awful for them, but I'm sorry. How come you didn't support the team when John Fisher didn't own the team? Where were you then? All right, here's a good one. John says 3 games in 11 days for Seattle. Do a rant on NFL Thursday night scheduling. I have done rants on this before, John, but you're right. You're absolutely right. Patrick makes a good point about going to see your team play on the road. It happens a lot between New York, Philadelphia, and Baltimore people going to other cities to get cheap prices. 100% correct. Happens all the time. All the time. Very, very true. All right, don't forget about New Works Plumbing. They've got a fix for you. They are available around the clock for your plumbing needs and repairs. Just go to sackserviceplumbing.com or call the number on your screen. New Works Plumbing. They've got a fix for you. And the newest residential community in Colusa is Sunrise Landing. And if you go to ColusaSunrise.com, you can check out the everything from Blazona development at Sunrise Landing. Many models to choose from. Remember, no Mellorews, no homeowners, various lot sizes. It's all there for you if you go to CalusaSunrise.com and check out Sunrise Landing. See, I don't do it right all the time. I hit the wrong button sometime, but Sunrise Landing is beautiful. And again, Calusa Sunrise, it's adjacent to the Calusa Golf and Country Club. Great access to some of the major arteries like I-5 and Highway 20, Highway 45. Again, just go to CalusaSunrise.com and you will get all the information that you need. All right, who do you like tonight? Who's going to win the game, San Francisco or Seattle? I think it's going to be the Niners. I'll be very surprised, I'll be very surprised. Would the 2001-2002 Kings team beat the Cavs team who came back from 3-1? I have no idea, James. But what I would say was the Kings teams had a mental block when it came to playing the LA Lakers. Mentally, they were not able to beat the Lakers. So I don't know if they had the mental fortitude, and they also had Chris Webber, who never played like an all-star in the playoffs, and yet he was their best player until the postseason began. So I'm going to say talent-wise, yes, they would be a better team, but that team lacked the mental fortitude that it took to win a championship. And I saw it on full display in the 2002 Western Conference Finals. They melted at home in Game 7. There's just no other way to say it. They missed 14 free throws. You don't miss 14 free throws in a Game 7 on your home floor. And yet we all know they got screwed in Game 6. I was there. I announced the game. I understand that. And the Robert Horry shot in Game 4. I get all of that. But they lost Game 1 after they had worked all year to get home court advantage. They won Games 2 and 3, lost Game 4, the Bibby shot in Game 5, the awful officiating in Game 6, and they missed 14 free throws in Game 7. Talent-wise, yes, I think the Kings roster definitely better than the Cavs team that came back from 3-1. But you got to remember, how would have the matchup with Mike Bibby and Kyrie Irving gone? How much would Bobby Jackson be on Kyrie Irving? And who was going to be able to stop LeBron? Those, you have to think about all of those factors when you try to analyze different eras. But it's a fair question. It's an interesting question that there's no answer to. Okay? There's no answer to. That series against the Lakers changed Sacramento. If the Kings would have won that series, I don't think they would have had the 16 years of terrible basketball, relocation, etc. Kings forever. 100% correct. Absolutely changed everything. 100% correct. Changed everything. Absolutely. No doubt about it. And the following year, a lot of people forget about this. Or 2 years later, I should say. 2 years later, the Kings were playing, and they had the best record in the NBA, because the following year, the Kings lost to the Mavs when Chris Webber hurt his knee. The following year, they played the whole season without Chris until the 1st, 2nd, 3rd of March. I can't remember the exact date. And when Chris came back for the home game against the Clippers, Sacramento had the best record in basketball. Vlade was playing great. Brad Miller was playing great. Everyone was playing great. They had to think about this. They had the best record in the league in March. Chris comes back, has a great first game against the Clippers, and then after that was Ineffective. The very next game, I'll never forget this. We're in Miami, starting a road trip. Lamar Odom makes Chris look like he was playing with cement shoes on. The next night, we're in Orlando, and Rick wanted to reduce Chris's workload on the first of a back-to-back. And Chris went ballistic. And Rick caved in and started Chris again, who was terrible. And the Kings finished the season from that point on at either one below 500 or one over 500. But they were basically a 500 team. And I'll never forget this. Aileen Voisin, who was the columnist for the Sacramento Bee sports section, wrote a column about what a mistake it was that Rick Adelman was starting Chris Webber and he should have come off the bench. And she's 100% correct, except for Chris would have never done that because it was all about Chris. It wasn't about the team. It was about Chris. Everything was done for Chris. It was ridiculous. It was absurd. They had rules for everyone else and rules for Chris Webber. That's just the way it was. And that's how Rick coached. And to his credit, Rick was very successful. And, I have the utmost respect for Rick Adelman, and I love him. That was his coaching style. That's the way he was. He was a true player's coach. Just the way it was. But in this particular instance, I still to this day believe it's why the Kings didn't make it back to the Western Conference Finals that year, where they would have played the Lakers, and I think they would have beat the Lakers that year. I think that without Chris, I think they would have had a really good chance. The Lakers did not win the championship that year. That's the year they lost to Detroit. The Pistons won the championship that year. They beat the Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals, and they lost to the Pistons. I remember that vividly. I remember that vividly. But boy, when Aileen wrote that column, she was spot on. Spot on. And Chris went ballistic on the column too. But if Chris Webber had just said, all right, I'm going to do what's best for the team. You all are playing great without me. I don't want to ruffle feathers. Okay? Which other athletes have done, by the way. Other stars have come back and come to the bench in that same situation. And that team was never the same the day that Chris Webber came back. Never the same. Just weren't. They weren't the same. And it's a shame because I think if Chris had come back and played his, 15 to 20 minutes coming off the bench on a nightly basis in small spurts doing what he can do, playing against the other team's second unit many times, could have been a perfect fit. But mentally, he was not capable of doing that. He just wasn't. Grant, did I ever meet Tom Curran, the first Kings play-by-play announcer? I was born in 93, but I saw that he passed. Rest in peace. Tom was a very close friend of mine. I love Tom. Tom and I got to be very close before I even started doing the Kings games. And on the home games that were not televised in 1987, Tom and I would sit next to each other on press row, and that's when we really got to know one another. And I've shared this story before, Dorian, and I'll share it again because I ended up working with Tom. He ended up going from sports to news and became the news anchor with Karen King at Channel 31 when I was doing the sports at Channel 31. And so Tom and I used to see each other on a daily basis because our desks were next to each other. But I always share the story. I'll never forget it. November 1988. I'm at the Red Lion Hotel, the team that we were staying at in Portland. It's my first ever Kings telecast. Terry Porter, Clyde Drexler, Jerome Kersey, Buck Williams, Kevin Duckworth, Mike Schuler was the head coach. No cell phones. About 3 hours maybe before the game, maybe 4, phone rings in the hotel room. I pick up the phone. Tom Curran. Tom had done the Kings on TV for the first 3 years, 85, 86, and 87. Channel 31 won the rights to do the games. I started doing the games. Tom called me and said, hey, I'm just calling to wish you the best of luck. I know you're going to do a great job. This is a hard day for me, but I'm really happy that you're the guy. And he goes, I just want to wish you the best of luck. I'm like, wow. Like, I was just like, wow. Like, that's a phone call that I've remembered forever. That was Tom Curran. What a great guy. And I saw that he passed. He was dealing with Parkinson's. I knew that. Age 70. What a great guy. Love Tom. Just a funny, so talented, smooth as silk on the air. Very smooth. Very, very smooth. I thought he and Karen King at the time were as good as any anchor team, including Stan Atkinson and Margaret Pelly at KCRA. Tom and Karen. Karen's big-time anchor in Dallas and has been for a long time. And Tom went on to be, doing the same thing in Tampa. They both went to big markets, and they're very good. But, yeah, rest in peace is right. But I'll never forget that phone call from Tom. I was just like, wow. Like, there are certain things that you never forget. I'll never forget that phone call. I'll never forget that phone call. Thank you for saying that. To start my team, who are you taking, LeBron or Kobe? I'm taking LeBron because I can use him at all 5 positions. If you ask me the question, Grant, at the end of a game, if you have to make one shot, are you taking LeBron or Kobe? I'm taking Kobe. But, I mean, I got to be honest. LeBron is a better all-around player than Kobe because LeBron could play center. He could play power forward. Jerry Reynolds has said this. He and Magic really the only 2 players that could be an all-star at all 5 positions when they played. So it's a very good question. It's a fair question. But that's how I would answer it. All right. Hey, don't forget about Bennett's Prime Seafood and Steaks, whether it's Sacramento, Roseville, or the West Side Grill in Rockland. Don't forget about their happy hour, sips and taste every day from 2 to 6. You just go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com, make a reservation or more. That's Bennett'sRestaurants.com, and check out everything that they have to offer, their menu. Again, Prime Seafood and Steak at Bennett's. I will be doing my rant here in a couple of moments. Don't worry. We've got you covered tomorrow after the Kings preseason game. I'll be on with Rhino right after the game. Thank you, Dorian. Thank you for sharing, Grant. Love you, brother. Love you too, man. I appreciate everything you do for us and your loyalty to Sacramento and how you are, man. Thank you. Appreciate the heck out of you. But I was very sad when I saw that. I had not stayed in touch with Tom when he moved to Tampa, but when he was in Sacramento, he was just a really good buddy of mine, and we used to laugh and share a lot of time together. We didn't really do anything. We had more of a work friendship than we didn't go to each other's houses and stuff. We went out to dinner a couple times at Channel 31. I mean, we did that, but we weren't, he was married at the time with a family, and I had not yet had kids, but we were in a different period of our lives in terms of family, and he was a great family man. And so socially, our interactions were 98% at work, So, but I appreciate you saying that. I really do. All right, don't forget, Thursday Night Football coming up. We have got San Francisco. We have got Seattle. It should be a good game. All right, it is time now for a Rant with Grant. And a Rant with Grant is brought to you by EDH Motors Automotive Reimagined. This is a long overdue new concept The two owners, David and Adam, are just two people, and they're trying to do something different and better. First of all, they have no obligation to any franchise or big corporation. So keep that in mind, all right? They offer new vehicle brokerage, also offer vehicle consignments where they sell your vehicle for you, and of course, they can buy your car. They'll sell pre-owned vehicles, hey, even your RV or boat. You can take delivery at their auto lounge in El Dorado Hills, so you don't ever have to go to the dealership. You don't have to talk to a salesperson. No pressure by the GM. You don't get squeezed into the F&I office. Go to info@edhmotors.com. That's info@edhmotors.com, and you will get everything that you need to know. Again, EDH Motors, automotive, reimagined. And once again, check it out, info@edhmotors.com. And I'm really happy to have them on and looking forward to promoting their business throughout the basketball season. All right. So LeBron James goes on X and says, can someone explain to me why we're getting on a plane and heading to Milwaukee for one preseason game? You're going to find this hard to believe. I actually agree with LeBron. It is asinine. It is absurd. It is stupid that you play in Southern California and you have to get on a plane and fly 3.5 hours and come right back. Okay? Now, the reason why this is going on is they sign a home and home. Last year, the Bucks were in the Lakers. This year, the Lakers are there. Plus, the arena is being renovated again. Right? Like the hockey team, the Kings don't even play there until the 24th. That's their first game. By the way, the NHL regular season's already underway if you're keeping score at home. All of the Lakers preseason games this year are away from the Staples Center. But in this case, again, I agree with LeBron. It is ridiculous. If you're going to go that far to play a preseason game, have another game against the Bulls or the Timberwolves or someone in that region. It is absurd. It is stupid. And I know LeBron's getting killed for his tweet, but I agree with him. It's asinine. All right? And if I'm the Lakers, I'm not even taking anybody on that trip. I'm going to have a G League scrimmage against the Bucks. It's ridiculous. I mean, the season's long enough as it is. And maybe LeBron shouldn't have gone on X and said that. Maybe that's not a great look. Okay? Maybe that's not a great look. But seriously, one game you're playing in Milwaukee against the Bucks in a game that doesn't mean anything? Come on now. Doesn't make sense to me at all. And that's my rant for today. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Going to be loud in Seattle. Generally is, always is, unless the Niners can take control of the game early. All right? Am I going to a Kings game this year? No, I am not. No, I am not. We'll be covering the Kings, though, right here for you on the channel if you don't like that. Love it. Pre-game, halftime, post-game. Ryan and I will be on tomorrow after the game. But during the regular season, you'll get all the coverage. Jerry Reynolds will be on with us. We got a lot of things going on. I am very much looking forward to it this year because it's new. You know, there are a lot of expectations. So it should be a lot of fun. It should be a lot of fun. All right, again, you've got Thursday Night Football, San Francisco, Seattle. This should be a good one. Should be a good one. Looking forward to being on tomorrow after the game with Rhino. We'll break it down. Enjoy the game.